Hello and welcome to this little build review. In this one I'm going to be tackling the Crown starter fleet for Dystopian Wars. We're going to be looking at the plastic kits that come in the box and building one of the cruisers and one of the destroyers that are available to us. There are myriad options for this, so if you need a little bit of help, the build guides are all available on the Dystopian Wars website under the factions. So if you have any questions or any queries about the options available to you, go to your faction section on the Dystopian Wars website and check out the build guides. Anyway, let's just get stuck in. So to build our ships, in the box we have two main sprues. We have this add-on sprue, which you can see here, which has big gun turrets, various generators, smaller gun turrets, and little pieces that go into the back of the turrets, as well as two SRS tokens. And that is going to be useful for our cruiser that we're going to be building. We're going to be building the Lancelot, so we'll be needing these turrets. Onto the main sprue, we have quite a lot going on here because we can build basically every variant, and there is a lot of variants. I'm not going to go through them all, but they all have their own instruction sheet. They all have their own unique layout of parts. So obviously we have the aircraft carrier deck. We have various bow sections depending on what we're building as well. Those parts are also double-sided, which is a nice little touch. So particular cruisers will use this. Other cruisers, like our Lancelot, will use this on this side. Various other bits and bobs, more gun turrets. We have our hull segments for the cruiser. We have our prows for the cruiser, so we have a standard prows here. And then either end of that is the two components needed for the Canadian prow. We also have our decking for the smaller ships for our destroyers, as well as when we flip the sprue over and show you a little bit, we have our escorts, so we have two of those on the sprue as well. Tiny little boys. They are a single piece, so you don't need to worry about those at all. You just clip them out at the end. That's basically it. What I'm going to proceed to do now is clip out the parts that I need for my cruiser and my destroyer. It's going to be a case of just clipping out all the parts, cleaning them all up, and I'll do most of that off camera, but I will start clipping parts here. We'll start with the prows, because we're going to be going standard prows with these. And after that, I will discuss anything that is going to come up, like particular cleaning or particular areas that you need to look out for. As you can see laid out before us on my table are all the components needed to build our Lancelot. So I have them all separated into segments. So we have each hull side, we have the hull top, turrets, smokestacks, and yeah, that's everything we need. Not too many parts, but does take a little bit of time on the cleanup. Just make sure if there's any areas of sprue that are near sort of join points and stuff like that. It's not really as big a deal on the cruisers, but it is more of a deal on the destroyers. So let's go and build a hull side. And as we can see, we'll start here with the prow. And this little key location is where we're going to dab our glue. And then we're going to run some glue down that face as well, just to give us a good amount of contact point. The first component is going to be the extension to the prow, because the cruisers, some of the cruisers are longer in the prow, so they have this extra little piece here. And that just sits right there, like so. Then we do the same again, bit of glue, and then take it along that facing. Take our long hull side, then that will slot in like so. And what I like to do as well is put it down on the table to make sure that it is sitting square and flat, as we hope. The last bit then is to take the stern, and what I'm going to do in this case is apply the glue there, and then up that end face as well. And then that should line up nicely like so. Place it down on the table, make sure it's all square. If we've cleaned the parts, the components correctly, everything should sit nice and square like that. What we can do to help square it all up once we have those components together is just gently press our hull sides together and make sure it's all sitting flat. We're not gluing this yet, because we have a couple of pieces we need to do in preparation for putting our decking on. So we need to take our stern section with the gun turret mount up the way, so this side, not this side. but we need to take this decking piece and it needs to flip like that, so we don't have that deck detail, it's underneath, and it joins like so. That allows these 4 squares are where the smokestacks go. For gluing, just to run a glue along that half circle, press that into place, and it does have a very slight indentation on this component here to let that shape sit in there nice and firmly. That's our stern, so I can set that to the side. Over here, it's just going to be a case of gluing all one side of the hull together. So what I'm going to do is move this side away. This is all keys, and on this side there are slots there. So what I'm going to do is run my glue from the prow and then right along those 3 keys there. Place our hull side down, line those key slots up. Sorry, wrong way around. That was my fault. Gonna have to glue the other side now real quick, just to make sure we've done it right. Have to remember I have 2 turrets on the front. And then just settle that in like so. A little bit of extra glue just to run along the seam and up on the prow there as well. Then we can gently press that in, and this now starts to help everything line up on the model, like that. Take our stern section, same process. I'm going to take the glue and run it along there. And then on the underside, just following that half circle or that quarter circle there. Press it in like so, let it line itself up, like that. Nearly done on one hull side, so what we can do now is hold our hull on one side, apply the glue across here, then underneath. Set that hull side back down, bring our other side in, align it all up, and just press together. It's good to do this on a nice firm surface, on a nice firm desk surface, because you can hold it square just in case you've misaligned something or you haven't cleaned apart correctly. You've got to make sure you do that to make sure everything sits down squarely and we're not getting a lot of strange gaps and stuff like that starting to form. That is the lower hull done. We're then going to take this segment, and that sits right up there like that. And because I'm a little lazy, I'm just going to run the glue along the bottom of that, let it seep into the line. Same round on this side. Nice and easy. We're then going to take the bridge of our ship. The bridge of the ship has these 3 notches. It has 2 long notches and 1 tall notch. The best way to do it is line it up with that forward long notch, and that is the location for the bridge. That's how that part locates on the model. If you're using your extra thin glue, then you can just touch the back of the bridge and the capillary action of the glue will move that along and seal that part down quite nicely. Pretty straightforward. We'll move on to our smokestacks. There are 2 tall and 2 short components. These fit into these 4 squares behind the bridge with the broad part of the square down. So what we can do is apply glue into each square, like so. The 2 tall smokestacks sit closest to the bridge, and they should fit into those square slots, just like that. They do need to rotate sometimes, so be careful about that. And they should sit nice and square. Same with the back 2. Again, rotate that for fitment. And the final one just there as well. As you can see, they're sitting at a bit of an angle. I'm not sure if that's my tidy up step that's causing that, or something else. But those look like they have located well. No issues there. On the top of the smokestacks, we have 4 little funnel toppers. They're individual, so again, a little bit of glue on the top of each stack. These don't have a particular way to fit, so they kind of just sit down on top of that shape as best as possible. Now we're just on to the turrets. So on our big gun turrets, we have this slot at the back. Apply some glue into that. Then we have our little optional, or our little component here. There are several options for that. The part with the gap underneath it goes towards the guns. That way we're sealing off the back of the turret and there's no gaps there. Do that on that one. Maybe did a little too much glue on the first one, so let's use a little less this time around. And again, slot in, press down. That is the turrets complete. So let's locate our turret. So our small gun turret right on the prow. Always like to keep the guns facing to the front. Same again with our first big gun turret. And that will just sit in there. And our final gun, our final turret at the back. And that's it. Apart from about 15 minutes cutting and cleaning, or clipping and cleaning the parts, the build is actually quite nice on the Lancelot, and it is quite a handsome looking little ship as well. So what I'm going to do is reset and come back with the parts I need for my destroyer. For my destroyer, I've went for a Caliburn with the standard prow, not the Canadian prow. This is for 2 reasons. 1, it's different. 2, I didn't have enough of these little gun turrets to do another Excalibur. So I have 2 Excalibur and a Caliburn in my starter fleet. That's fine. That's okay. A 5th add-on sprue would resolve that, but not a big issue. So same as before with the cruiser, we're going to start with the hull sides. These are a little more simple. So just a little bit of glue on the back of the prow there with a simple lineup. Just sits there rather nicely, like that. Set that down and do the same on the other side. And you can see that curved piece there that lines up with the part on the prow. Just make sure that's nice and straight. Now, there is a little word of warning for anyone building this. Some of the parts on these sprues are undergated, and what I mean by that is the sprue gate that goes into the plastic is sometimes not on the surface detail, but is actually underneath it. And it is underneath on the very tip of the prow, the standard prow for the destroyers. So you can see the little white mark there where I've clipped that off. Make sure that's good and flat before you glue your hull sides together, otherwise your fitment isn't going to be as tidy. So, as before, we can glue our decking on, and it's a single piece, which is great. Keeps it nice and simple. So we can just run some glue along that. And then lining up like that. You can see there was a slot there to allow that ridged piece for fitment to help line up the components. So then from there, it's just a bit of a gentle push to get the parts in and saddled. Then we can do the same on the other side. Maybe a little more glue than that. And then take our other hull side and then gently press those pieces together. Simple as that. So while that's drying, we'll then glue the bridge down. The bridge has a little notch there that it lines up with, so a dab of glue in there and then press it down. Simple. We'll do our smokestack. So same as before, square peg in the top of the decking. Broad part of the smokestack goes into that peg. topped off with a bit more glue and a rounded smokestack topper. Like that. And finally, our little gun turret. Put into place like that. And there we have one of our smaller ships in the box. Not the smallest, but you'll see that in a minute. Because now what we're going to do is assemble the starter box all together and stick it on a turntable and let you see what you can build from this box. So here we have our Crown starter set, all built, bar the SRS tokens. You only need to build 3, but I believe there's about 6. What I have built here are 2 Lancelot cruisers, 1 Hotspur, which is our aircraft carrier. I have 2 Excalibur destroyers, along with our Caliburn destroyer, or Caliburn destroyer as well, and our 6 little escorts. These ships look amazing. These are fantastic. They have been easy to build. It's just a shame there's not enough turrets to make all Excalibur destroyers in the box. That's just me. I would like to have all the ships be the same type, but you guys out there, veteran players and you guys alike, are probably going to want to experiment a little bit with different ship types. Other than that, excellent kits all around. Very easy to build, very satisfying to build, and as much as an Imperium guy as I am, Crown is definitely very interesting to me, and it's going to be something that I'm going to have to look at a little bit closer because the aesthetic is just fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, see you again soon.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.